Good evening, welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from Anisha Bata, Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, we delve into the Office of the Special Prosecutor's half-yearly report, which outlines major developments in high-profile cases, including those involving Kenneth Daniel Foriata, the former finance minister, and Cecilia Abena Dapa. Now, we have details for you because there's been some reactions to this latest from the Special Prosecutor's Office. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. Also, ahead of the September 2 Akwetia by-election, the Inspector General of Police has met with the Electoral Commission and the political parties to ensure a peaceful, incident-free by-election on September 2. We'll hear from some of the parties about their key takeaways from that meeting earlier today, and the latest from the Electoral Commission also on the Tamale Central by-election. The date has been announced today. Stay with us. The Association of Health Professionals have condemned the alleged assault on health workers at the Accra Regional Hospital, calling for immediate and decisive action to protect healthcare staff. Now, we hear from some of the association talking about the Ghana Medical Association and also the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, who will get a conversation on that particular one. We have this and more, including the opening of nominations for the Tamale Central by-election after the tragic incident that led to the death of the Member of Parliament for that constituency, Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Brace.
The Electoral Commission (EC) has set Tuesday, September 30, 2025, for the Tamale Central constituency by-election following the death of the sitting MP, Honorable Mutala Mohammed Ibrahim. The Commission, in a statement, announced prospective candidates can download nomination forms from the Commission's website between August 19 and September 10. Nominations will also be received at the EC's Tamale Metropolitan Office from September 8 to 10. The opposition New Patriotic Party is demanding the police to swiftly arrest and prosecute perpetrators of violence that marred the Ablekuma North election rerun. National organizer Henry Nanaboache, speaking after a meeting with the Election Security Task Force, said only prompt action by the police will restore the party's confidence in the security agencies.
Assurances are built on confidence. If they want us to rely on these assurances, then they must work on what happened in Ablekuma North. For the New Patriotic Party, we are going to protect ourselves. The IGP says that he is going to make sure that this is going to be one of the most peaceful by-elections we've had in this country. But our concerns are still the fact that we have had some people who caused some mayhem in Ablekuma North. They are still walking free. They must make some arrest.
The Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, says nearly 7 months of extensive investigations alongside a parallel inquiry by the FBI found no direct and immediate evidence of corruption regarding seized funds and frozen bank accounts linked to former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister Cecilia Dapa and her associates. The OSP explained that this was why the case was referred to the Economic and Organized Crime Office (EOCO) in May 2024, but was returned without action. However, the OSP says the new EOCO management has shown interest in the matter and has since begun investigations. The Minister for Health, Kwabena Minta Akando, has assured the general public of government's commitment to ensure health facilities are safe for all. The minister says a committee set to investigate the allegations of assault that occurred at the Ridge Hospital will present its reports in a week's time for action.
We haven't only done a release. Yesterday, I was there personally and interacted with the health workers. One of the reasons why I went there was to reassure them of our commitment and support, to energize them to go back to their wards and work, because I realized that they were down-spirited and they were demoralized. And so I had to quickly go there and then encourage them to do more, to work more, and assure them of a thorough investigation into the matters. We have constituted a committee to investigate the matter within a week.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association is demanding swift action from government following an alleged attack on a nurse at the Ridge Hospital in Accra. The association has given authorities 48 hours to arrest the suspect, Ralph St. Williams, or risk asking their members to remove themselves from the work environment. Dr. David Tinkrang Prum is the General Secretary of the association.
Asking government to arrest the guy immediately and the 8 accomplices. We were told there were about 50 guys that came, but those who laid their hands on the lady are about 8, including Ralph himself. And therefore, if he's not arrested within 48 hours, we shall advise ourselves. Oh, it's very simple. I mean, if nurses and midwives in Ghana say that they will advise themselves, I think that you don't need a soothsayer to know what we want to do, because we think that we are not safe.
Several infractions and weak monitoring controls characterized the first day of the consideration of the 2024 Auditor General reports for ministries, departments and agencies. Failure to account for expenditure and underpayment of charges ran through the performance of agencies that were interrogated. Chairperson of the committee, Abena Osei Asari, expressed worry.
There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're also on YouTube, on TV3 Ghana on YouTube, also on X as well. There's so many ways you can connect with us here on Ghana Tonight. It's also, as always, brought to you by Flamingo Paint, Simply Superior, and Sasso Insecticide Spray and Quell, Kumtumtum Precom. Coming up next, we delve into the Office of the Special Prosecutor's half-year report, which outlines a major development in high-profile cases, including those involving Kenneth Nanaya Oforiatta, we're talking about the former finance minister, and Cecilia Abinadapa, the then minister in charge of environment, and that's a Works and Housing minister. Now, there's been some development regarding these two cases, in fact, that has been of topical concern, especially to anti-corruption crusaders watching this particular space. The special prosecutor has released its half-yearly report covering the period of January to July 2025. A lot has happened within this particular period under review. Now, this report details key developments and activities by the office. Key amongst the updates we're getting in this report are those related to the former finance minister, Kenneth Nanaya Oforiatta, and the former finance minister, that's the former minister for sanitation and water resources, Cecilia Abinadapa. Now, we're getting those two, we're zeroing in those two in this report. And my colleague Dennis Baberi Wadam Esquire is joining me in the studio. He's been combing through this report to try and piece the issues together. Dennis, it's good to have you.
Always a pleasure being here, Alfred.
Fantastic. What's the special prosecutor saying? Let's go back into let's start off with Cecilia Dapa.
Yes,
right.
yes. So, special prosecutor is essentially saying that the case against the former sanitation and water resources minister, Madame Cecilia Dapa, is not over yet, even though the OSP sometime in the past had discontinued the case against her in respect of corruption and corruption-related matters. there is a new development in which the new administration of EUCO has taken interest in the matter, and they have requested for the docket. So in that respect, EUCO is proceeding to investigate the former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources for money laundering and structuring. Alfred, it is important for us to put all these into context because there's been a lot of development in this particular case. But the facts themselves bear no repeating because we all know how we got here, how some cash was allegedly stolen from her house. Upon a complaint made to the police, it was discovered that there was a lot more cash that was stashed in her house, which got a lot of public attention. The special prosecutor got into the matter, investigated the matter, and at a point, the special prosecutor had to discontinue the matter. And that's where the conversation begins tonight, because as of July 2023, the OSP had been in an investigation route. The office was doing so with FBI, and the focus of their investigation was in respect of corruption and corruption-related matters. According to the OSP himself, even though this investigation started somewhere in July 2023, by October 2023, that the matter had become a transboundary matter. It meant that part of, or a leg of the matter was beyond the boundaries of Ghana, for which they needed to cooperate with some international agencies.
Right.
The FBI was one of those agencies in which that collaborated with them in respect of that investigation. That after 7 months of that investigation, they came to a conclusion that the matter was actually within the province of money laundering and structuring. But mind you, they were investigating her and associates for corruption and corruption-related offenses.
Right.
Let's see what happens when they reach that conclusion after 7 months of investigating that matter. So by January 2024, OSP, having taken a decision based on the findings of that investigation, discontinued the matter in respect of corruption and corruption-related offenses against Madam Cecilia Abena Dapa.
Which was the focus or the scope of the investigation?
That was the scope of the investigation.
Okay.
Yes, so by January 2024, the OSP then referred the case to the Economic and Organized Crime Office to commence investigation into the money laundering and structuring. Mind you, their investigation showed that the matter was within the province of money laundering and structuring. And these are the direct mandates of EUCO, for which they referred the matter to EUCO in January 2024.
Okay.
Now, by May 2024, EUCO, having taken that docket, also decided to do its work. But along the line, they sought advice from the Attorney General, then Attorney General, Godfrey Ademi, who gave an opinion on the nature of the matter and gave an advice. And that advice was to the effect that the matter had no predicate offense for which they were going to mount the investigations of money laundering and structuring on. In other words, they needed to exist, in the view of the former Attorney General, an offense whose proceeds will then be traced to some other persons who perhaps will have concealed them or disguised them, which is basically what money laundering is all about.
Right.
And that to the extent that they could not find any predicate offense, they could not proceed with the matter by way of investigation by EUCO.
That was the former AG's advice.
That was the former AG's advice. That advice was taken by the former EUCO leadership, and then they acted on that advice by forwarding the docket back to the OSP. Now there comes a new leadership at EUCO, which has taken interest in this particular matter, perhaps because they didn't agree with the former Attorney General's advice and the former administration of EUCO. Now they requested for this particular docket, and the OSP has forwarded same back to EUCO. So as it stands now, it is the case that the new leadership of EUCO has taken interest in the matter, and they are proceeding to investigate that particular matter. The OSP has pledged its readiness to support EUCO in respect of this particular investigation. So Alfred, on the totality of it, this is where we are with the matter. It does not seem closed as was earlier reported sometime by the OSP himself when they had said that they could not find any immediate and direct evidence in relation to corruption and corruption-related matters. And also that the docket was returned to them. It didn't end there. This new administration has taken interest in the matter. They are proceeding with the investigations.
But let's stay the steam on this, because you make some instructive derivations which bring some clarity to what we're talking about. The the focus of the OSP's investigation
Yes.
in the matter of Cecilia Dapa was for corruption and corruption-related offenses.
That is right.
Reason why they even brought in the FBI. So it would also then mean that the FBI's focus in collaborating with the OSP was for the corruption and corruption-related offenses.
Precisely so.
When they then realized that there could be some, suspicion of money laundering, did that also form the FBI's involvement in this? As far as we do know,
That is not information that is publicly available.
Okay.
But what we do know was to the effect that when the OSP set out to investigate the corruption and corruption-related aspect of the matter, which at the point was transboundary, for which they needed to cooperate with the FBI, the focus was on corruption and corruption-related offenses.
which they didn't find.
However, according to the OSP, on the totality of the evidence that was gathered at the point of investigation, it pointed that the matters in question were those that relate to money laundering and structuring. Now, mind you, money laundering and structuring are the direct mandates of IOCO,
Okay.
for which OSP says, okay, I have done my part. This leg of the investigation is best carried out by another state institution directly mandated to do so. And that was the basis on which they had to forward the docket to IOCO in January 2024.
No, but I'm going to come to you on it because we need to understand what the money laundering really is and what structuring is as per what the law says, okay? And whether that constitutes corruption as well. Because then if you're investigating corruption and corruption-related offenses and unless you, by the definition of the law, money laundering is not corruption, structuring is not corruption, then you can conclude that the OSP took a different position on this. But Adam Sedano is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, joining us on Zoom. Dennis, stay with me. Sedano, good evening. Thank you for joining us. I mean, and I bring you in at a point where we see the IOCO taking different positions under different leaderships. The previous IOCO leadership did agree with the Attorney General's advice then that really there was no reason to look into Cecilia Dapa's case with the angle of money laundering. A new IOCO leadership comes in, led by Raymond Acha. They say, you know what? We're interested in this case. In fact, we believe that it is worth looking into that angle of money laundering as against the previous leadership's position. I mean, how does these two positions by two different leaderships strike you for the same institution, by the way?
Well, thank you very much, Alfred. Truth be told, when IOCO took the original position, many of us who had read through the IOCO law were quite befuddled as to how they could arrive at that conclusion. It was very curious why they would even seek the AG's interpretation of something that on the surface was very clear, that when you have assets and resources that could not be legitimately, determined as to where you got it from, they should be considered as the proceeds of crime, and therefore the state could step in. It's a very clear aspect of their mandate. So I'm not too surprised that the current leadership has decided to take a keen interest. Many of us told IOCO and its leadership that they were shirking their responsibility as far as the law was concerned. So I'm not too surprised. Yes, it may be an issue of interpretation, but I think that the law is quite clear.
I see, but now how do you expect this to play out with the renewed focus and interest that IOCO, the new leadership of IOCO, are taking in this particular case of Cecilia Dapa and the pursuance of that investigation of possible money laundering?
I think that, first of all, the OSP has done the base work, and so the docket, as they pointed out, they have given a copy of the original one that was given to IOCO for the current leadership to look at. I am sure that what they will do is just to highlight the law. I think the law speaks for itself. So it is not a case of somebody attempting to witch hunt. This is what their law says. This is what their mandate says. And to the extent that the individual could not provide evidence of the legitimate sources of these excess monies and assets, the state was bound to take an interest and then draw a certain conclusion. If by virtue of the work done by the OSP, be able to demonstrate that these monies were flown into the country or came in from source A or B, and the monies originated from certain activities where you can draw the conclusion that this is money laundering, that's what the investigation will end up with. I think that clearly this case is not yet completed or concluded, and the work that is likely to be done is what will bring us to a point where we can say this is the situation, and if some persons have to be sanctioned, that will happen.
Zan, I appreciate your time on this. Thank you. And if you could kindly stay with me, Dennis, what is the position of the law in terms of definition of what constitutes money laundering and structuring, essentially, and whether that's also or can be considered as an act of corruption?
Well, so our laws are clear. They try to distinguish what is corruption and corruption-related offenses and what constitutes money laundering. So you would see that when you look at the OSP Act, they are talking about the OSP having a mandate to look at corruption and corruption-related offenses as has been spelled out in our criminal code. In the criminal code, you see corruption of a public officer or corruption by a public officer. All those come under the mandate of the OSP. And in fact, when you look at our Public Procurement Authority law too, there is an element of corrupt practices where you put yourself in conflict of interest and matters like that, where you stand to benefit from those things.
Right.
Those are purely matters of corruption and corruption-related offenses. However, when you look at our Anti-Money Laundering Act, it clearly defines anti-money laundering to mean that you are in the possession of some property which is proceeds of crime. And that you knowing that it's a proceeds of crime, you have decided to disguise it for purposes of changing its nature. So that's how come the previous administration, on the advice of the Attorney General, says that when you say it's a proceeds of crime, then that means that there has to be an existence of a crime first before we can talk of its proceeds.
Right.
So the money laundering matter is that, yes, you're in possession of proceeds of crime, but that you have taken steps to conceal or to disguise that proceeds of crime, just that authorities do not detect it. I mean, structuring is just a shade of it, where, for instance, that you are supposed to, if you know that you would deposit a certain amount of money, for instance, into a bank account and it will be detected, then you split the money into smaller pieces. That is just structure of getting around the reporting system or it's being flagged.
I see.
So those are matters of financial crimes, if you want to put them that way, money laundering and then structuring. But corruption and corruption-related matters are those that I earlier explained.
And Ms. Ano, you had indicated, you were the view at the time, I recall, that the IOCO didn't need a predicate offense before getting into investigating Cecilia Adapa for alleged money laundering, correct?
Yes, we were of the view that they didn't need that because the thing was that are there assets and resources and monies that cannot be legitimately, whose source could not be legitimately determined? Is there an individual who cannot explain the divergence or disconnect between how much they have available in assets and resources compared to their remuneration? And this was a public officer whose remuneration we were all clear about. And yet there were hundreds and thousands of dollars and other foreign currencies found, for which no explanation was given. So immediately it fell under that portion of it. The aspect of, is it a proceed of a crime, is where you then get into the investigation. And that's where the advantage of the OSP having collaborated with the FBI to draw a certain conclusion for us was valid. That if the FBI in their country could say, look, from what we have investigated, it seems that this is so and so and so. It means that there was enough information for you to then say, let's proceed and then determine what has happened. For that reason, the initial position they took, for many of us, that certainly was not what the spirit and the letter of the law was trying to get us to do.
And I do appreciate you, Mr. Ano. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
And thank you for having me.
Perfect. He's the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. There's another issue of interest that's captured in the OSP's half-year report, and that was on Kenneth Danaya Kuntunkunun Konfuriata. What's the latest on that?
Well, so, Alfred, you do recall that the OSP has been on the heels of the former finance minister, trying to get him to answer some questions in respect of some matters, including the Petroleum and Mineral revenue assurance, the Electricity Company of Ghana termination contract, the National Cathedral project, the ambulance project, and then the GRA tax P-fund management. But along all the conversation, we have not specifically been told what exactly the role of the former finance minister is or was, for which reason he's wanted to respond to some of these things. In this particular report, the OSP gives us an idea of some of the things that the former finance minister is wanted. And if you would indulge me, let me just quickly run you through some of the things that has been indicated in that particular report. So portions of the report reads that Ken Ofori-Atta is alleged to have directly influenced the procurement to obtain unfair advantage to SML in revenue assurance in the downstream petroleum sector, upstream petroleum production and minerals and metals resources value chain. So this is in respect of the SML deal. This is the first time we have been told exactly what the role of Ken Ofori-Atta was in that particular transaction for which he's wanted to answer questions. There's also the issue about the former finance minister allegedly directly influencing the procurement to obtain unfair advantage in contractors and materials for the National Cathedral project of Ghana and unlawfully approving payments for such contractors. That is in respect of the National Cathedral project, one of the reasons for which he's wanted. And also is alleged to have unlawfully padded approved payments in respect of the termination of a distribution, loss reduction, and associated network improvement project contract between the Electricity Company of Ghana and BXC. This is in respect of the ECG contract for which he's wanted. And also that he's allegedly unlawfully approved payments out of the tax refund account of the Ghana Revenue Authority. So this particular report gives us a fair idea of the reasons for which the former finance minister is wanted. We now know that he's been declared wanted. And
absolutely.
We have a sense of the reasons for which he's wanted, at least per this particular report.
And it gives some flesh to what the OSP has been talking about.
Precisely so.
And then the instance of the BXC says what? On the matter of what? Padding.
Yes.
All right.
Unlawfully padding approved payments in respect of the termination of a distribution, loss reduction, and associated network improvement project contract. Yes. So the allegation is unlawfully padding approved payments.
And you know, by the finance terms, we talk about padding. It's more like the practice of just inflating the a budget, or essentially either by overestimating expenditure or by underestimating revenues. So that's that act that it talks about. It will be interesting for the OSP to give some further and better particulars beyond this, and then we'll all get to know how.
But of course, the OSP has reiterated that he's taking the necessary steps to get the finance minister arrested wherever he is. You know, he's currently been put on the wanted list. He's also reiterated some of the cases that are before the law courts, at least two applications from the former finance minister having been dismissed by the courts, one in respect of the interlocutory injunction and the other in respect of a judicial review application that he had put before the law courts. So, Alfred, I mean, this is just a piece of the entire document that the OSP has been talking about. He's also been making some recommendations to the Constitutional Review Committee, wanting a dedicated chapter on corruption in the Constitution. There's a lot more to discuss in respect of this particular report.
Indeed, rightly so, and we'll sink our teeth a bit further into it in the coming days. Thank you so much. Dennis Poveri with our Esquire joining me here on Ghana Tonight. Let's stay on the matters of governance. This one time around, this election, and the Electoral Commission sets September 30 for the Tamale Central by-election following the tragic incident that led to the demise of the Member of Parliament for the area, Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. Now we do know this particular date by the Electoral Commission, and shortly would have the Deputy Director of IT and Elections for the NDC joining us, because this particular election is going to be an all NDC affair, essentially, by, at least from what we do know, the decision by the NPP not to contest this Tamale Central by-election. Here's a statement we got from the Electoral Commission in the early hours of this evening. They say that they've announced for the information of the general public that following of the unfortunate death of the Member of Parliament for the Tamale Central constituency, Honorable Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, the seat of the constituency in Parliament has become vacant in accordance with Article 1125 of the Constitution as amended. The Electoral Commission will hold a by-election in the constituency on Tuesday, 30th September 2025. This is some 4 clear Tuesdays after the Akwatia by-election on September 2nd. So 28 days later, there's going to be another by-election, this time in the Tamale Central constituency. Accordingly, the Electoral Commission will receive nominations from prospective candidates for the election of a Member of Parliament for the said constituency. That is what the statement indicates. And nominations will be received at the Tamale Metropolitan Office of the Commission from 8th September to 10th September 2025 between the hours of 9 a.m. to 12 noon and 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on each day. Interested candidates are also required to download the nomination forms, as we've seen on the Electoral Commission's website, from 19th August, which is today, through to the 10th of September 2025. So the Electoral Commission has already indicated those who would want to contest this Tamale Central by-election. The time is now. Between now and 10th September, go on the EC's website and download the nomination forms. Nominations have been open for the Tamale Central by-election. Rashid Tanko Computer is Deputy Director of IT and Elections for the NDC. Also, the CEO of GIFEC is joining us on Zoom right now. Rashid Tanko, good evening. Thank you for joining us. You're on Ghana tonight.
Good evening, Alfred. Let me say good evening to your cherished viewers across Ghana and the globe.
Great. Thank you. So far, we haven't received any news of any other political party seeking to contest the Tamale Central by-election. The thinking was there's going to be a straight fight between MPP and NDC. MPP says they are not interested in that for the number of reasons that they outlined. So it appears to be a straight, in fact, it's going to be just an all NDC affair in Tamale Central, that by-election, unless and until any other political party decides to contest. How are things playing out?
Well, Alfred, we had the news this evening about the opening of the processes for the Tamale Central. And then at that time, we had a finished FEC meeting. Well, as a directorate, we've been mandated to take action, appropriate action, relative to what the Electoral Commission has just issued. And then we've started earnestly. I've just confided with my other colleague and then colleagues, and then we are coming up with a timetable as to how to get our candidate for Tamale Central. Pretty soon, within the close of the week, we will come out with a timetable, and then as to how to go about it. We are not, in fact, I respect the statement coming from the NPP.
Why is that?
For me, of course, they are flip-flopping. You know them. They held a press conference and told the whole world that they were not participating in Nabli Kumanov. Alfred, but you saw them there. They even went to court and was trying to injunct it. But later on, they participated. And today, you remember even when we went for the IGP meeting, they were talking about Blake Kumanov. That's why when I asked them, but you people, you say you were not participating. What were you doing over there? So now the same General Secretary has signed a statement indicating that they are not participating in Tamale Central. Until we file nomination on the 8th of September, I don't trust these guys.
So what?
Because anything can happen.
I see. You're suspecting that the NPP would change its mind about not contesting Tamale Central by-election?
Alfred, I'm just giving you the parameters on which I'm saying that I don't trust them. That they held a whole press conference addressed by their General Secretary that they were not participating in Ablikmanov. But what did we see? Alfred, they came in. And today they are even on top of their voice talking about Ablikmanov and asking arrests here and there.
Yes.
But what address press conference?
I see. But what's the challenge with that? If they are asking that the perpetrators of the violence in Ablikmanov, that 19 polling station election, should be identified and arrested by the Ghana Police Service. That's a call that you should also support, is it not? I don't think. So what's the challenge?
You see, my problem with them is this. This is a political party who told the whole world that they were not participating in it. So what were they doing there? You said you were not participating. And yet, on the following morning, the day of the election, leadership of this political party had pepper spray in their bags. What were they doing there? To foment trouble. Because that's premeditated mind. You are coming for election and you are holding pepper spray in your bag. You are not even accredited, proper accreditation to have access to a polling station. You went there with arms because pepper spray is described as a dangerous arm. It's not allowed. The election security task force has described it as a dangerous arm. It should not be allowed into any of their polling stations. It's an illegal arm. Yet somebody had it and put it in the bag and was walking around just to foment trouble. So we are saying that they have issued a statement and said they are not participating in Tamale Central. Fair enough, it's on paper. But until nomination closes and then we don't see MPP on the nomination paper, then we can discuss it that MPP is not participating. But for now, I don't trust them. The leadership of the MPP as of now cannot be trusted by anybody who is a watcher of political landscape in this country. You can't trust them.
But how about if it so happens that as nominations have opened now, nobody within the party downloads forms to even fill and submit? Election takes place on September 30 and they are not in there as well. Then what happens? Would you then change your position?
No, that's what I'm saying. I will still, because this group, what they did at Ablekuma North and the aftermath, and even had the audacity to still be talking about it and calling for arrest of people that they allege have beaten their one of their leaders in the Ablekuma North. How can we trust a group like that today issue another statement that we are not participating in so-and-so election? And I'll respect such a statement. No, until the die is cast, I'm not gonna, because they have shown time and again.
Right, but then so, you were at the meeting with the IGP earlier today, that election task force meeting, together with the Electoral Commission ahead of the Akwetia by-election. That appeal for you, the political parties, to ensure a peaceful electoral process. What posturing did you go into this meeting with, and what was the resolution afterwards?
Well, Alfred, we went there with clear mind because we have nothing to hide. As a political party, we have confidence in the state security. Anytime we are going for elections, if we have issues, we raise it appropriately before we get in there. Even when we're in opposition for 8 years, all the by-elections we participated in, we raised issues and then it was addressed. So there was no the by-election that we I participated, the Kumau by-elections, the Asin North by-election, and then the Ablekuma North 19 polling stations. We didn't deploy any internal security task force to support our operations. We never did so. We were relying on the state security. That is why they are saying that the Asin North was very perfect, Kumau and all that, because the NDC believed in the security architecture of the country at that time, and we followed through all their processes. That's why we went through it. So we went into the meeting with clear mind and clear conscience that we believe the IGP and his team will do a fantastic job. Don't forget, even the Ablekuma North thing they are talking, it was just one polling station out of 19. And it's because of indiscretion on the part of Howard Kumsin that led to all these kind of stories we are talking about.
Right.
If she hasn't misbehaved at that place, we wouldn't have this problem. So we went in clear mind. They enlisting to them. They are deployed about 5,000 policemen in the constituency, and they are bringing all their regional commanders and POMAC members to make sure that there's enough security, policing of the polling stations, and without accreditation, you can't have access to that. to each of the polling stations. And then those who want to foment trouble, that they will deal with them roughly. And they made us to understand, they will deal with them. And clearly you could see it from their faces that they meant business. That this time around, because of what some people did at Ablekumanov, came there, no accreditation, came with pepper spray, with that kind of motives already. They were looking for reprisals. Because when you are coming with a motive, already you knew what you are coming to do. Right. And therefore, you had already prepared yourself for reprisal.
Okay.
And so these things that they are doing, they must stop it. And we told them.
Right. We'll see the build-up to the Akwatia by-election strongly and heating up by the day. And so we'll definitely connect again. Thank you so much for talking to us.
I'm grateful. Grateful.
Rashid Tanko Computer is Deputy Director of IT and Elections for the NDC. And the IGP, Christian Tete Yohuno, spoke at this meeting with the MPP, NDC, and the Electoral Commission earlier today. Take a look.
Upcoming Akwatia by-elections. What we want to say is that we thank you for attending this meeting. And we can also say that some of you even gave us the idea that we have to meet in advance before the Akwatia by-elections, that we have to meet the political parties, which we have got to do that. Right. Suggestions from your end also help us a lot to have this meeting earlier than what we intend to do ahead of us. So we thank you for your contributions for this meeting. And then it is all planning towards this Akwatia. We want to make sure that these by-elections will be one of the most successful by-elections in the country. So this meeting call you the political parties who will be taking part in the by-elections. And also we have brought the EC because they are the people who conduct the elections. And so there are things that you may like to ask. There are things that you have some suggestions you want to make. There are things that you feel that
that's the IGP there. Henry Nanaboachi, who is the national organizer of the opposition NPP, also spoke to the media after this meeting. Take a look.
Assurances are built on confidence. If they want us to rely on these assurances, then they must work on what happened in Ablekumanov. For the new patriotic party, we are going to protect ourselves. The IGP says that he is going to make sure that this is going to be one of the most peaceful by-elections we've had in this country. But our concerns are still the fact that we have had some people who caused some mayhem in Ablekumanov. They are still walking free. They must make some arrests and they must put these guys before the law court. As we speak, we lack that requisite confidence in the Ghana police.
The Commission has also been speaking about preparations ahead of that Akwatia by-election, and they say as of now they are going to start the printing of the ballots from tomorrow. So that's ahead of Akwatia. Tomorrow, ballot printing will start. Procurement has already been done. They also procured all the materials required for the election. They also indicated that they are poised to deliver on their mandate in a professional way. That is according to the Electoral Commission. So that's the latest coming in from there on the build-up to the Akwatia by-election, which is on the 2nd of September. So the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission, Zabano Bio, is one who's been speaking to the media on this. After this quick break here on Ghana Tonight, the associations of health professionals, they've condemned the alleged assault on health workers at the Accra Regional Hospital, calling for immediate and decisive action to protect healthcare staff in the country. The Health Minister, Kwabena Mintah, has also been talking. Shortly, we'll be joined by the Ghana Registered Nurse and Midwife Association General Secretary, as well as the former president of the Ghana, the former general secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives also, and the Ghana Medical Association. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani.
From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News, leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Now, the Ghana Medical Association has also warned that health professionals may be compelled to withdraw their services if violent attacks against them persist. This is in a statement they issued not too long ago. We're going to put portions of it on the screen right now. They say these acts of impunity where health professionals are abused verbally, physically, or both must cease forthwith. There exist clearly laid down processes and procedures to resolve concerns or grievances rather than resorting to violence. Such displays only serve to encourage and embolden some unruly individuals to follow similar ways. The Ghana Medical Association warns that if these senseless attacks continue, health workers would have to exercise their right to remove themselves from situations that present imminent and serious danger to our lives, safety, or health. That is the Medical Association, that's the crux of the statement they issued. Now, they are not alone in this because the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has also issued a statement. In fact, just on the same path of what the Ghana Medical Association is saying, Dr. David Tinkranchum is the General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. He's joining us on Zoom. Doc, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, my brother.
Well, so you've given a 48-hour ultimatum to the Ghana Police Service to arrest a particular gentleman in the video that's gone viral. Why is that?
All right. I mean, thank you for the opportunity, and good evening to your viewers. Yes, I mean, as we recounted in our press release, we think that the gentleman went overboard. I mean, and we don't need to encourage that kind of thing because it can be replicated in other hospitals, and it's something that is an affront to the principles of healthcare delivery. I mean, nowhere in this world can you just bounce into a hospital, video everybody, including patients that are seeking healthcare. Their privacy were compromised completely, and I think that that's an unethical conduct. And it ought to be condemned, and the guy must be apprehended by virtue of the fact that he led an attack of about 50 people, 8 of which decided to, manhandle a nurse who actually, dressed the wounds that he brought.
I see. Now, to the extent that this was captured on the video that's gone viral, is it one that the association is minded to have even gotten a copy of this, submitted it to the police service? Because that's portions of the video we're showing right now. Have you formally reported this to the police service?
Yes, I mean, the hospital actually, when we met the hospital management this morning, in fact, I led a delegation to meet the hospital management and the nurses at the hospital. And the management made it clear to us, because we demanded that from them. They told us, I mean, copiously, that they've made a formal report of the incident to the police, because we actually wanted to do the same, but they said that they have already done that. And indeed, we saw the police statement that was given by the lady in question. So that has been done.
I see. So after 48 hours, if this gentleman or any other persons captured in the video are not arrested, then what next for the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association?
Oh, very simple. I mean, Alfred, we don't need to even belabor this point. And in fact, our mission this morning was to close down the emergency department of the Rich Hospital, because the people told us, our nurses told us, that they don't feel safe to work there. And it's very clear. I mean, we are closed by the labor law. If you read section 119, subsection 1 of the Labor Act, or the Labor Law 2003 Act 651, it is stipulated in there that when you feel that there's imminent danger, okay, that's hampers on your health, or as far as the environment in which you work in is concerned, you can absorb yourself or you can remove yourself from danger. So we were actually going to do that, because when we went to the department, our people told us that they don't feel safe, because they saw the gentleman even lurking around as of yesterday. All right, and he actually promised, let me put it that way, that they will have to take one life. Okay, and we will not allow that to happen. We cannot countenance on that. But I mean, looking at the type of cases that we've met, we've met patients that actually had fracture base of skull. Okay, and that's a serious condition. Okay, I mean, if you are told that this patient has fractured base of skull and you just close your eyes and say that by virtue of whatever had transpired, we want to, take this course of action, I felt that we'll be doing too much, and that would be an overkill. And that's why we have given ourselves 48 hours. And we think that the police must move in, the authorities must cooperate with the police so that they can arrest this gentleman who is parading himself and thinking that he's above all the laws of Ghana.
But in the video we are showing, just for the uninitiated, we see police officers at the said ward where these young men stormed. Is it not?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is where our head is. Do you understand? Because we're trying to find out from the hospital authorities, I mean, the kind of security arrangement that they have in that hospital. And they made it clear that there's just a police post close to the mortuary of Rich Hospital. And anytime that they encounter such difficulty, and maybe those that comes around overwhelms the internal security, they're able to fall on these, if you like, standby forces, if I can put it that way. But unfortunately, they were not able to apprehend these thugs. And that is why we think that this is unacceptable. And we cannot allow these things to be pushed under the carpet. We need to take remedial actions that will guarantee the safety of nurses and midwives in Ghana. They are breaking their back, and we cannot just sit down and allow people to intimidate them, disrespect them in such unacceptable levels.
Finally, the Minister of Health, Kwabena Mintah, has assured that by the next 1 week, in fact, there's a committee that has been established to look into this, given a 1 week period to submit a report on this, and he's going to take action. That's not assuring enough for you?
He said that the guy must be accosted and prosecuted, and that's our demand. I don't see why the committee going to arrest the guy. I mean, I think that's a comprehensive action that the minister wants to take, and I don't fault him. I think it's a good thing that he wants to do, but he must do the needful. He should do the first thing first, all right? Make sure that the guy is apprehended, the guy is prosecuted, okay? Because he is not above the law. We know several people that have been arrested by virtue of whatever statement that they made, okay? Whether, I mean, once you do something that is criminally in orientation, you should be held responsible. I mean, why should some people be treated as though they are above the law of Ghana? I'm not above the law. If I conduct myself in a manner that is, that runs, in adherence with the laws of Ghana, I'll be held responsible. Okay, and I don't see why some people should think that they came from heaven, and for that matter, they can misconduct themselves and go scot-free. We are making this simple demands, and Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. We always know that, or we take calculated steps in coming out. That's why we took time to even issue our statement. We went to the hospital on Sunday. We went there yesterday before. Today, myself led a delegation to the place. We were very thorough about our demands, and we will not hesitate to even escalate it to other hospitals throughout the country.
I see. We'll see how the next 48 hours will be, whether that demand will be met and what action eventually will be taken. But thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, my brother, for having me.
Dr. David Tenkwanchum is General Secretary for the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association there. Thank you for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. We're back again tomorrow for another conversation. On behalf of the rest of the team, we do appreciate your company. Join the New Day team tomorrow morning, and also the Samurai 3 FM 92.7 team as well. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.